Alrighty. Uh, yeah, man. I don't know. I still feel like it's very interesting to have Backlash always be so close to right after WrestleMania.
Right.
Because traditionally I would always assume like a month after is like a good amount of time, and to be fair, like it is only 3 weeks after. But then in 3 more weeks we get another PLE. We get Clash in Italy.
Yeah.
So it's fucking it's interesting, and it seems like as well too they're doing the smart thing of like, well, if there's two PLEs, then just do one heavyweight title per fucking event,
Yeah.
and it makes more sense to hype up Gunther versus Cody over in Italy, and then yeah, this match with Fatu and Roman, which I thought was actually pretty well paced, had pretty good energy and intensity as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we'll chop it up about that as we kind of go through the things that
For
we
sure.
saw over the whole event there. So you just want to start off by running it top to bottom, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I'll just let people know this is going to be our first installment of a YouTube series, the Chop It Up
Oh,
series. So
oh.
between you and I, Mr. JDK Nonstop, we just finished watching Backlash. They're running a recap right now on the post show of Jacob Fatu attacking Roman Reigns and super kicking the
Mm-hmm.
shit out of Shane Helms. Poor guy. I was hoping he
No,
wasn't
yeah.
gonna go after Jason Jordan and his messed up neck. I was
I don't
hoping
think, yeah.
yeah, I was like, okay, Helms could take the bump. Helms could take the bump. Nobody else can. So I
There's
was
always
happy
a
that
few
just
of them. There's always two of them that take the bumps. The ones that have histories with like injuries that basically took them out of competition.
yeah,
Yeah, like Jason Jordan, Bobby Roode. You'll never see those guys take the bumps. They'll
yeah.
always be out there, but they'll never be the ones that actually like take the bumps from people. It's only like, yeah, Shane Helms, for example, because stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Very
Well,
nice, very nice.
if you didn't know who Shane Helms is, chat, now you know. You're welcome.
Anyway, the show started off with Seth Rollins taking on Braun Breaker, and I really enjoyed this match. I just for purposes, I enjoyed all the matches on the card. I thought this was a very strong card. This was a very strong showing from the WWE. They've been under attack, ever since WrestleMania about how soulless the product feels, that everything is an advertisement. And I agree with a lot of the sentiment, but I still watch to see as if the product is going to be good. And I was not pleasantly surprised because I keep my expectations low, but I gotta say, it feels good to watch a show and be like, that was a good show. That was a solid event, and I'm glad I invested my time.
Yeah, I think it's good to kind of highlight that as after a lot of the criticisms coming out of WrestleMania, and then also just in particular like SmackDown last night as well too. It's just a very odd pacing to have a 3-hour show lead up to a fucking funeral for a gingerbread man, and just also be like cluttered with AI art as well too, which like I get it, but like at the same time I don't really necessarily agree with it. I think it's you're doing it for the sake of storyline and convenience for content, because trying to get enough animators and people to actually do all those drawings and depictions of the gingerbread man doing all this shit with like Trick Williams and Yachty, or even just like the call. Like the one thing I won't bitch about is the use of AI for when they were putting gingerbread man in all of the fucking old school segments from the Attitude Era up.
Yeah, I'm sure that was
And
just a simple Photoshop job.
that was kind of, yeah, I mean something like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they used AI to help them do it too.
Probably.
But it seems like their whole creative is just going in on it from like the production standpoint, which is whatever it is. It allows them to make things quicker and more efficiently, right? So I get it, but at the same time, it's just gonna that's a whole other debate. We're not really here to talk about that bullshit. But the highlight, yes, I agree with you. After going through that and an Ad Mania, I felt like this was a pretty good pacing for a PLE. The matches did not feel like they were super short and trying to favor like advertisements. I think the advertisements were as they've always kind of been with WWE, which is like they're baked in or done in a way where it's like quick and efficient and done, like that mug root beer commercial fucking ad spot there with fucking both
Yeah,
Barrett and Cole needing to chug a
yeah,
fucking mug, which
yeah.
is kind of funny, right? Like that's like classic WWE. That's how they've always done their advertising. this, and what I also noticed too, from watching it on Netflix, you could probably speak differently this because you watch it on ESPN, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But like when they did go to like the lengthy ass ad breaks, I didn't get like the same thing as like WrestleMania, which just like ad break after ad break after ad break after ad
Right.
break. Even when it was doing it, they would have like segments of like cold opens or like recap segments as well too, which was also go hand in hand with like how, PLEs always would go, pay-per-views would always go back in the day. You would have a lot of the video vignettes. That's what I'm looking for. That
Mm-hmm.
kind of recap the whole feud and what like brought it to the culmination, which is technically at a pay-per-view, which it always is. And you had that going with like a lot of the matches on the card, pretty much almost every match, I'd want to say. If I was to run it back, maybe except for Braun Breaker and fucking Seth Rollins because they just started off the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, very good pacing. I thought that the Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins was a no-brainer to do that match off because I forgot that they were doing the first hour on like the free ESPN or whatever the
Right.
fuck. So you really want to put on a fucking key match for that. I did not take Breaker as going over,
Really.
but no, I didn't. I kind of thought they would still have Seth kind of win, but I mean, again, that also concludes Seth's whole fucking story of revenge on the Vision. So it makes sense to have Breaker go over to give him like the big comeuppance on fucking Seth. But also, it's not like you want to clean. You still had interference coming from Austin Theory and fucking Logan Paul, and you still got fucking Heyman out there as well there too, right? So
Yeah.
a faction is always going to have that upper hand against what we can potentially now refer to as a solo baby face, which is pretty much what Seth is. So yeah, man, I kind of was like in the back of my mind thinking, oh, it'd be kind of cool if Braun actually does go over because now they're starting to move him up as a main event guy. But
Mm-hmm.
I also kind of thought too, in traditional writing and sake like that, they probably want Seth to come out looking strong, so
Right.
they also want him to win. But they kind of did. It was good back and forth. I love every time I see that fucking spear to a pedigree fucking reversal move that Seth does. I fucking will fangirl for that shit every time because it's such a fucking orchestrated fucking reversal.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, good match overall though. Again, a lot of these matches were kind of like what wouldn't fit or what didn't go on WrestleMania. And so I'm thankful for the fact that they didn't end up getting cooked or cut short, right?
Right.
But yeah, overall, I give the fucking Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker a good one. I feel like it's gonna progress and push forward the storyline too of Seth versus the Vision. I think the next thing that I really want to see though that's coming from this though is maybe more of a crossover with like the Street Profits because they seem pretty locked on those tag titles, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know what'll come of that, but I can possibly see somewhere down the line. You got to think there's going to be Seth Rollins and the Street Profits versus the Vision in like a 6-man tag or some
Interesting.
shit.
Interesting.
So I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see.
I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the fact that it was very physical. It was
Yeah.
very fast paced. As soon as the bell rang, Braun Breaker went for a spear that Seth Rollins kind of leapfrogged over. It was hard hitting. It was one of those kind of the bell rang and it was pedal to the metal. Let's just go.
Hmm.
Similar to how you felt about the pedigree reversal spot, that spot where Seth does the superplex and he goes to do the Falcon Arrow, but Braun reversed it and did the Falcon Arrow himself.
Hmm.
I popped huge for that spot. I thought it was
Yeah.
a great spot. Really really close together, a wonderfully constructed match. Seth Rollins is one of those where at the end of the day, we're probably going to talk about him the same way we talk about guys like AJ Styles or Kenny Omega or Will Ospreay, where in the sense that he is very dependable to put on a great match with anybody. And I think this was a test to see if he can get a great match out of Braun Breaker. Not that Braun Breaker hasn't had any good matches, but this was certainly like an elevated position sort of thing. And it was one of those things to say, okay, let's see after this, since Braun Breaker's coming back from injury, from surgery, let's see if he still has that 100-mile-per-hour, gas tank in him. And I think he really proved that. And I think it was a great match going forward. And I didn't expect Braun Breaker to win. I had Seth Rollins in my predictions winning the match.
So you and I did, yeah.
Yeah, I thought, but it does make sense. It does make sense that if Seth Rollins, doesn't win this match, he can continue his story with the Vision of him trying to takeout division. So I'm all for it. I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do next for sure.
Yeah, but you can't put one guy up against fucking three, presumably later on in the year, going to be four guys.
Very true.
Whenever Bronson Reed gets off the injured list as well.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
fucking bad shit luck for that guy over the past few fucking years. Does a huge spot at Survivor Series, gets taken out for fucking months, comes back, gets put in with like a new up and coming faction and shit, which has its own challenges.
Hmm.
Starts to get a fucking push, and then what happens to him? You injured again, brother.
Yeah,
Fucking and out for like another whole ass year. It's just like goddamn. But that's the way she goes, chat
yeah.
in the physical industry. Yeah, fucking moving on. The match that was so overhyped with the fucking gingerbread man stories and shit like that, fucking, but also ended up having a pretty good payoff. Sami Zayn taking on Trick Williams for the United States Championship, a WrestleMania rematch, some would say. With of course Little Yachty being at ringside for Trick. Very interesting because I think people were calling for it. This whole thing where like, oh, there's got to be a double turn at some point, fucking Trick is going to be the guy that turns into being a face, and then Sammy's going to fully embrace the heel.
Right.
It's like he already kind of did that. He's like, I don't know what I did to like just make you guys mad, but screw you anyway. And then now he's still and this is again how you blur the fucking lines between. I think there's a term for someone who's a babyface and a heel. I can't remember
Tweener.
the name. A tweener. Thank you. I don't know if he's trying to really kind of portray that archetype, but fucking it's Sammy just like now resulting to heel tactics in his matches.
Yeah,
That's pretty
yeah.
much pretty much what we were all waiting to kind of see.
Right.
And I think it was tonight when we actually finally started to see Sammy do what he feels is necessary to start getting the wins, which is something that he should have been focusing on doing a very long time ago.
Yeah.
I think he's learned that if you fight fair, you don't win as much as you do if you fight dirty, which is fucking trope in wrestling, isn't it? But
you know what's funny is that I'm starting to realize that I find heel Sami Zayn a little bit more interesting than good guy Sami Zayn. I like the underdog story, but after a while, the underdog story gets a little tiring if it's opponent after opponent. He's the underdog with this opponent, and the next opponent, he's still the underdog. So I kind of find this Sami Zayn a lot more interesting, and he has the ability, the way he speaks, just kind of he makes you feel like he's justified in what he does, right? And you're like, son of a bitch, he has a point, but I still don't like him. Like, I still prefer Trick over Sammy, but he makes some good points, because he does make some good points in all of his appearances when he cuts a promo. He really can play up the part. Is, I don't know why you guys don't like me. I didn't do anything to you guys, So like, I kind of like that aspect of Sami Zayn, and I thought similar to what I said about Braun Breaker and this being an important match to see if he can really go. Same thing applies to Trick Williams, where Trick Williams, he is so over, he really doesn't have to do a lot to get the people to like him. You understand what I'm saying? He doesn't have to do all these crazy moves.
No, I'm saying.
He doesn't have to do all these crazy moves and try to get the people on his side. All he has to do is just start the entrance music, and the people are on their feet. It's over, so he's
whoop that Trick.
Yeah, he's over. He is over, and
they were even saying that on SmackDown when sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. They're saying on SmackDown when Last Legend was coming out to the ring too. They were also saying whoop that Trick.
That's crazy.
It's just like, bro, right? Like fucking, I don't. But yeah, no. As much as Sammy had to resort to heel shit in the match, you didn't see Trick do any more or less of the same. I mean, he didn't himself kind of actually grab any objects from what I recall.
He let his manager do it.
Which is, yeah, and Yachty only fucking did it as clapbacks. So Yachty wasn't the first one to instigate. Yachty definitely did notice that when he was trying to get the ref's attention and shit like that, it actually backfired, and it allowed for Sammy to start doing some fucking, dirty deeds type shit. So I think that's like what you're gonna get. I don't know if we'll see like a full on like, losing his mind, personality change, and then like starting to really say like, screw the fans. I don't care anybody like who stood through or who stood beside me when I was like, having everybody hate me and everything like that. Like screw you too. You're
Right.
all like you all are like ungrateful, for what we do and put our bodies on the line. And it's like no wonder I've never been a world champion because I've been stuck here just trying to impress you, just trying to be friends with you.
I like
Like
that.
you guys are the whole fucking reason that I can't get over and actually be like my friend Kevin Owens, who fucking the irony of the thing is Sammy got signed before KO did, but KO got a world title before Sammy did. And
Mm.
that's something I think is always going to be, I think that's one of the things that you could easily bring out in the storyline or focus on like why Sammy just has to like eventually go through this whole big old character change. And don't forget, the guy even has heel music when he was the fucking honorary Oos, right? When he was with the bloodline and shit, which I was never really paying attention to that, but I don't even know how much he was really acting like a heel at that point. But still, like, you can put Sammy in a bad guy role, but you don't necessarily you don't see Sammy really change away from being Sammy. It's like if Keanu Reeves was a fucking wrestler. Like it's like that guy's always playing this role. Oh, well, that's exactly what Keanu Reeves does. Until you give Keanu Reeves something like John Wick, and then all of a sudden the meme isn't about Keanu Reeves as Neo in the Matrix no more. It's about fucking damn he was badass as John Wick. John Wick is John Wick because of Keanu Reeves.
Right.
So I'm using that as a whole big analogy, metaphor, whatever the fuck you want to call it, for like Sammy got to find some way to like maybe even change up how his character is. And they should have started leaning into more of the whole fucking like, oh, he gets angry, wham, wipe water bottles off countertops, man. Like I thought that was becoming a pretty big meme. And then like they just didn't do anything with it. It just fell by the wayside. So it's just like I don't know, man. I really hope that you not continue the same whole BS when it comes to Sammy and Trick, because I don't think their rivalry is really going to be done at this point. Hopefully
Mm.
the gingerbread shit's got to be deaded.
Yeah.
But still they still put on a good match. They still cooked, and it was nice to see that the WWE is like leaning into this without making any kind of official things. I'm
Yeah.
just saying. If you want Sammy to actually like do better or be better or possibly start to get over with the crowd, if he's getting hate, if he's getting heat, then have him lean into it and don't do it in this like pussy ass magic school bus type shit like Arnold, I knew I should have stayed home today fucking attitude and personality type, right? Like fucking because Sammy's a good wrestler. He's a great worker, man.
Yeah.
I think he honestly kind of does deserve to at least get into the title picture. Or I don't even know when's the last time that he even had a fucking title match. That's another
Oh,
important thing. Like not
that's
like
a very good question. That's a
has
very
he
good
does
question.
has he ever even been in a match for a world title? Like I that's something I would need to go and check. I'm trying to think about it because like who Cody could you fucking have gotten Gunther? He did take the fucking IC title off Gunther a couple years back at
Yeah.
Mania. What was that? Mania 40.
Mania 40, yeah.
So it's yeah, man. I just you let him get to a point where he can even like start working up to there. But now it's also like you got to also like fry through a lot of the other fish before you actually get to the Cody Rhodes and the fucking Roman Reigns. It's kind of
Right.
crazy to think actually too. Like both those guys are the two world title champs again.
Timmy in your chat brought it up. Roman did face Drew, or no, he faced Roman and then he faced Drew for the world heavyweight title not too long ago. If you remember, was it on Saturday night's main event that he faced Drew
Oh
McIntyre?
right, no, yeah, you're right. I forget when that match was happening around Royal Rumble, I think.
Yeah,
Yes, it was at the
yeah,
Rumble. He fought
Royal
for
Rumble.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, so there we go. So that he did get a title match like not too long ago. But
yeah.
that was the last time. What about the time before that? The guy's a former NXT champion. That's the whole reason that I bring it up, right? it seems like he kind of had like, and that's the thing. I don't want to like turn this into like, oh, don't ask JDK about opinions of like former NXT champions. He might just say that they peaked in NXT, and I don't want to. I don't want it to come off like that.
Right.
But come on, like how long has he been on main card for? And he's always been in the mid card position, or rarely end up in the main event position. And even then, it's not like it's an actual workable program unless he is teaming with Kevin Owens, who is a former multi-time world champion. I'm sure. I think. I only remember the one time when he won in that fatal 4-way match because Triple H literally handed the shit to him. Anyway, we do get off this because we're gonna just tangent about this shit. We could podcast about fucking the career of Sami Zayn if we really wanted to, but nah. Good match. Good to see the Trick fucking though to like not just be all about Sammy. It's good to see though that Trick though is able to get over with the persona that he is, that he doesn't actually have to like turn full on babyface. He can still be himself and stuff like that, but he doesn't have to lean into like traditional heel tactics. He can just be like how Stone Cold was, a typical anti-hero.
He reminds me a lot of The Rock.
A lot of The Rock.
Yeah, Trick has
crazy. You wouldn't say Booker T.
He just has
his son.
He just has the gift of gab, where everything he says, it just flows out of his mouth, and you don't necessarily at first realize how outlandish it sounds. Like when he says your breath smells like 10 pounds of bounce that ass. And it's like, what the fuck does that even mean? That sounds hilarious. You know, but it's just, he has the gift of gab. It comes easy to him. He has that very easy swagger. And I think that's why people said, no, we're not going to boo this guy. This guy is too cool to boo. We can't boo him. He just has that swagger about him that you're like, fuck, I want to hang out with that guy. You know, I want to see what he's all about. I bet him and Little Yachty are a lot of fun, you know? So,
I mean, you've seen him be a face in NXT as well too. Anybody who's followed him since then, right? So.
Right. So he can definitely get it done. But like I said before, to me, it was much like the Braun Breaker situation, just to see if Trick can go. Luckily, he had a dance partner like Sami Zayn who can have a great match with a wet paper bag, you know? So so they did a good job of setting him up, making sure he had a good match, and he really delivered. So shout out to Trick Williams. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Moving on, this is the point where WWE then, of course, like said, if you want to see the premium matches, go on over to the ESPN app, which I kind of thought was a little bit funny, not gonna lie, because I felt like I was watching a pre-show within a fucking main show, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But you know, again, good matches. I will say, great matches to put on ESPN2 if you're really trying to market like your product. Especially coming out of a lot of like the negativity that was talked about like because of Mania and thereafter. Great matches. Both of them had very good flows to them. We weren't dealing with the fucking WrestleMania situation of like most matches being like 10 to 15 minutes tops. Like these were actually like very well paced, and it kind of continued on into the rest of the card. And the match we could talk about now is actually, it's funny because the guy who won that match is currently just leaving the pre-show or the post-show. Danhausen and his mystery opponent, which I think they did a great job with like rug pulling us on that, because I don't think anybody, there was actually one person, we'll talk about this in a second, one person mentioned it to me. I can't remember if it was you or Risen, but anyway, Danhausen and his mystery partner versus The Miz and Kit Wilson. I said this before, I'll say this again. Good use of having video recaps prior to a match, which really makes me feel like when I was watching wrestling like 20 fucking years ago, I guess you could say.
Right.
Maybe 22, maybe more accurate, because every match on the card that had like a storyline that built up to that moment would use a video package to just recap from the start of the shit to where we are now. And I love the use of also making it like a Danhausen movie trailer.
Yeah.
I thought that was really great. I think Danhausen is kind of like paying off that signing with WWE, because the guy is just making himself everywhere, and he's really marketing himself well. Not just from like what the promos that he gets with WWE or like being sent to ESPN to call the top 3 plays, which I saw that and I thought that was a great segment. But the fact that he also does his own work too on like social media and the backstage and stuff like that, the guy stays busy, keeps himself busy,
Mm-hmm.
and is really knows how to like market himself in his humor, right? So no wonder Punk fucking spoke highly of him and was probably one of the big reasons why he ended up getting a deal with WWE. But yeah, the mystery opponent, the whole fucking and then of course also the coming out as well there too with the fucking the cloning machine.
Right.
I when they started using that, I'm like, okay, it's not anybody's thinking like it's like CM Punk fucking jelly roll. It's just like, nah, like if he's using a cloning machine, it's gonna be something that goes with the bit of Danhausen.
Right.
And I think someone mentioned I really gotta I know somebody's gonna come into my chat at some point and be like, I told you he's gonna use the mini housings. One of them was gonna be his fucking partner, and it was. And that dude that ended up being mini housing, I'm pretty sure I've seen that dude in AAA before.
Yeah, it's Masquerita Sagrada.
There we go. Thank you. So, yeah.
But that's the former El Torito. Remember El Torito?
Yes, I do.
That same guy. So I said during the stream, I'm like, he's like the most dependable mini luchador WWE knows, because everything that they put Torito or Masquerita Sagrada, Mini Housing, he always delivers. It's crazy. This guy's track record is fucking insane how much he delivers. At first, I was worried because I kept my expectations really low. I was like, if it's CM Punk, I'm gonna lose it, because either way, it just seems brilliant. But when the mini housing came out, I was like, okay, maybe this leads to he's gonna disappear and somebody else is gonna come in. But once I saw him wrestling mini housing, doing the lucha moves, making Kit Wilson look like he was incompetent, making the Miz look dumb, I was like, okay, they got something here. I honestly think if they use mini housing as like a sidekick to Danhausen, I think it would be perfect comedy bits. It would just be perfect comedy bits. So again, you said about the marketing ability of Danhausen. This guy is a marketing genius. He's been I've been following Danhausen since he was on the Indies. All of his social media work that he did, it was all him, and it's you could tell the creative direction. They have a lot of faith in his creative ideas, because that's the way his brain works. Listen to his promos, how hilarious they are when he ad-libs stuff. He's just really good at understanding his character to the point where you're like, I am not mad that this guy gives me comedy matches, because they're done so well. And this was another example of a comedy match that was done so well. It reminded me of how well Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania was. It was just like, nobody wants to see this. It's a comedy match. We don't feel like laughing. And then when it happens, it's like, that was the best fucking thing I've ever seen. Like, so this was really, really good. And another thing too, Danhausen showed a little bit of wrestling ability too, which he hasn't been able to do, but they have a really good wrestler on their hands with Danhausen. He's a fine professional wrestler. It's just the character is so over the top and so great that he's printing money for the WWE right now.
It really is. No, it honestly is, man. And I said this already, and I'll say it again. Is like I recently listened to his podcast with Chris Van Vliet, where he was like out of makeup. So it was just like a regular one with the person, and I think he was talking about when it comes to him and his place on a card, he already knows that his lane is to rock that part of watching a big wrestling show where there's going to be a match that kind of like brings in the silly, brings in the comedy, brings in the stuff that's meant to make you laugh. And that's like the stuff that gets you ready before the main event. So like he knows where his place is, where he's marketing himself. And the fact too that he knows that you have to be just as much fun for the kids to watch as the adults who also
Right,
then
right.
get
I
like the
did realize
jokes,
that.
right?
Yeah, I did
Yeah, like
realize that watching the crowd during the match, and you know, every time you hear that "you are cursed," they're as loud as the speaker is, and so
yeah.
they were biting on every bit. But it was like you said, it was kids and adults too, so that's great.
Yeah, no, it's like he really does know where to put himself. Again, I think that's probably why CM Punk and him hit it off as friends as well too, because Punk usually likes to be connected with people like that are very driven and have an idea of where to go and what to do to kind of just make things work for him,
For
right?
sure.
Which I mean, it's kind of sad that well, I think he was utilized somewhat like that, but he also talked on the same podcast about like AEW just not really kind of giving him that ability
Yeah.
to do those silly things. And again, I think it's because again, AEW is definitely more the pro wrestling
Hmm.
promotion, right?
Yeah.
WWE is sports entertainment. It has been for years, and it's going to be. Um, but yeah, I know. Fucking it. All jokes aside, um, Danhausen also as well too got an ability to kind of like show a bit more of his in ring work. His matches though, like again, like his in ring time though, I would like to see more of,
Right.
because we're getting just like very minimal parts of him in the ring and doing work. But at least like tonight we got to see him like actually perform pretty okay. So it makes you wonder like what would this guy look like in a 10-15 minute match? And if you need to see something like that, chat, like just go check it out on the indies. For like YouTube, you can find a lot of videos of like his former matches, stuff like that. The guy knows how to work in the ring.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying,
Definitely, for
right?
sure.
Even for his size and everything like that. But I think again, like he always makes sure that the comedy element is worked into the stuff, and I think it's working very well. Because as to your point as well, yeah, like when you hear the "you are cursed," like the entire fucking crowd is doing it with him. Somebody said like months ago when he debuted at the Elimination Chamber that like this guy is gonna get laughed at WWE and be like a nobody in like 3 months, and I'm like, nah, man, like he's kind of like one of the hottest things that they have as one of the free agents, the guy that
Yeah.
can go back and forth between Raw and SmackDown and do all this like whole comedic work shit.
Hmm.
So yeah, dude, it was just good to see that he got his first big dub, I think, in WWE in an official matchup. And then also the great use too of like the whole cloning device as well. When Kit Wilson threw fucking Minihausen in there, and then more Minihausens popped on out. Like again,
Yeah.
that I do remember someone, well, not to someone, the homie Mo, shout out to Mo, coming into the chat and just like wondering, just like, why was this put on TV? You know, like we didn't get Carmelo Hayes or Ilya Dragunov. And like, I had to like take the position that I always do because pro wrestling is always silly.
Yeah.
It is literally we are sitting down and we are telling ourselves that what you are about to watch right now is not real. The fighting in here is orchestrated. The moves and all the athleticism and stuff like that is what tells the story, which drives the performance. But we buy into the fact that we know that like the ending's predetermined. We just want to know how the fuck you get there. And
Yeah.
how well can you actually sell me on like both of you heading down this road to this predetermined outcome of what's on the other side of the hill.
Right.
And even then, sometimes plans don't go accordingly, and then you have to see how the company works on the fly. And I think that's also the live TV aspect of shit, right? That's what always also kind of drives you in. So, but anyway, not to fucking get off on a tangent, but yeah, no, it's good to see fucking Danhausen get the win. Good to see good use of like all the mini housings and shit, and yeah, looking forward to the scene where he continues to go. Hopefully, he gets a good balance of like in ring time to like his backstage time, but I don't think he's mad about just being more on the production aspect either.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely, for sure.
right. Io Sky and Asuka.
My match of the night.
You know what? Probably a match for the ages. The we want Kyrie chants were there, but they did not take over the entire match.
No,
Though.
they didn't.
No,
I barely. Maybe my headphones were a little too low, but I barely heard any "We Want Kyrie" chants. Not that I would love Kyrie back in the WWE. I don't understand why they got rid of her in the first place. But I was just, maybe it was that I was so locked into the match because it was the match that I was looking forward to the most. It just has an interesting story behind it, with Io being Asuka's senpai and everything like that, or Asuka being Io senpai. rather, and just their whole dynamic, and WWE really opening up their eyes and saying, hey, we could take some of their history from Japan and incorporate it into stories here in the WWE. That would really give both of them some credibility. And the one thing I wanted to see was I felt like this is an opportunity for them to go straight Joshi style, which is the female professional wrestling in Japan. And they have a very hard-hitting style, very physical, very tough. These women that come out of Japan are very tough. I'm talking about women like, you watch Blake Monroe, Asuka's a heavy hitter. Io Sky could definitely throw some kicks, but Asuka was laying in some heavy shots on Io. I was just like, wow, she is really laying them in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was.
I just really enjoyed the match. Asuka or Io Sky's creativity taking the notebook to block the mist, I thought was really smart. And
that was really great.
Yeah, it kind of took the match into a whole nother level. Like, okay, Asuka just threw her best heel tactic at her and she blocked it, but that was the only thing that Asuka had besides her wrestling ability. So now Asuka's going to have to depend on that. So I thought they told a really, really good story. And I'm just wondering, what the hell was that ending about? Because somebody said that Asuka just posted something on Instagram with the Frank Sinatra song My Way, talking about, it sounded like she was leaving, or she's planning on retiring or leaving the WWE. That's the feeling. I'm not saying that that's what's happening or that it's a rumor or anything like that, but that's just because like she was really emotional after that match, hugging Kyrie, and stuff like that. So you're wondering, like, what the hell is going on with Asuka? Is she okay? Is this the last ride for Asuka? Is everybody leaving all of a sudden?
Well, there's only one thing that I can probably say to that. You know what I would say to that?
What's that?
Fucking TKO wanting to have them sign a fucking new deal, and Asuka essentially saying
no. Asuka said no. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I
don't see anything on Twitter. You said it was on Instagram?
Yeah, her latest either Instagram post or her story. Somebody said that she the song that she chose was My Way by Frank Sinatra, and that the section of the song that she chose talked about like going away or something like that, or basically something signifying the end of something, and I'm just, but like, I didn't even think about the whole 50% pay cut thing completely slipped my mind. And I'm wondering if
I don't see anything on socials.
No,
no, well, nothing on her Instagram either. Couple things I would probably say. Yeah, I think the ending of it was probably just because of it could be because Asuka might been asked to take a new deal and she doesn't want to restructure, so she's gonna do the same thing the New Day did, just decided to say fuck off and leave.
Right.
So here's the thing to think about this one, and we can just like talk about this for a second, because a lot of this was bound to happen out of a match where the literal buildup for this match, and I was saying this earlier, is that the person who really was supposed to be the payoff in this storyline is no longer here. It was always supposed to be a story of Kyrie continuing to get dumped on and shit on by Asuka, with Io being the person being like, that's not okay. And we all know in fucking traditional wrestling story, what was really going to be the big payoff was in a match like this, where Kyrie basically gets pushed too far. At that one point, she finally snaps and decides to turn on Asuka, taking Asuka out, which then gives Io the advantage, and then Io gets the dub. I felt like that when they were initially building the story, that's what was going to be the result, just based on how you've seen wrestling storylines like this play out before, about the one person that just continues to get shit on and the other person wanting to save them from a horrible person. This is the thing, chat. If you didn't already know, a lot of fucking wrestling storylines, guess where they're derived from? Real life situations, because that does fucking happen in real life when you have someone who is like used to be friends with this one person, or there used to be like this friend group, and out of the three people, eventually something happened where one person split off and another friend stayed with the toxic one, but the toxic one always ends up fucking making fun of the person that they look at being lesser than them.
Right.
So what happens eventually? Then of course the one friend still somehow comes back into the fold. Probably is still really cool with the person getting getting shit on. Doesn't really have a great relationship with the person who's the toxic asshole, who actually probably has some good quality traits, but leans more into the fucking negative than the positive. And then what happens? Well, person who's getting shit on one day has enough, decides to snap on the person who's being an asshole, and then all of a sudden in the divine trinity of the shit, it's 2-1, and the fucking one who's being the shithead realizes I've been a fucking bad guy. I need to stop. I need to change. WWE still found a way, not even WWE, the producers, and both big shout outs to Asuka and Io, because they still found a way to have that story be told without the person who was like the cornerstone of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I felt like, again, that was a big showing of both their abilities, because it was a decent match. It was well paced. It had a lot of fucking things in it, which were like, oh my God, good fucking move. Like, yeah, the notebook being pulled up to defend against the mist, crazy. Great fucking use of that shit. Like, that was a fucking cool ass shot too. But yeah, at the end, with like Io bowing to Asuka, and then Asuka looking like she's just fighting back tears. It felt like they had a great match, but I also agree with you that it had a very big tonality of like, oh, that feels like Asuka's leaving.
Yeah.
Because like, why would you now all of a sudden essentially go from like being a bad guy, because now you're hugging it out with Io and everything like that, and you're really embracing the fact that you are real friends. What's really kind of like the emotional thing that's being brought into this? It ain't a wrestling storyline. It's real life. Shit happens to chat, and these are real people. They live lives. They traveled with one another fucking over 300 plus days a year on the old schedule. I don't know if it's like that now anymore with WWE. I don't think it is. From the sounds of it, they work 2 days a week because there's not enough live shows anymore.
Yeah, they don't do house shows anymore.
You make a friendship with someone at a job, and then all of a sudden you realize that lives are going to change again, because you work in an industry where one person can easily be fired at some point, or decide to fucking leave and fuck off and go elsewhere.
Yeah.
So to kind of pull it back, which I rarely fucking do with my always tangenting over the fucking place ass, I think you're right that it's probably, and you didn't mention it, but I caught you on it, I'm pretty sure that Asuka is probably going to be in another swath of releases, which also tells me that we're not done. We technically had the big one that came out, the second piece of news that happened with the New Day and shit. So there's probably going to be, you know how these things come in threes, there's probably going to be another third one of fucking other talent that are asked to be taking a restructuring deal. And basically it's either their way or the highway. It's my way or the highway. Fucking classic goated promo, but always a great reference for now, because yeah, if people don't want to fuck with TKO's shit, they can leave. And what I think I already said, I'll touch on it again. I guarantee you that these original fucking deals that they wrote with these talent and stuff like that was paid for X amount of dollars for X amount of years. And I bet you that there's something written in those things as well too, that if one party like breaks the fucking agreement or something like that, if it's coming from WWE's side, like there's still going to be some payout towards these guys, and they still have to go with like the 90-day non-compete clauses and all that horse shit.
Yeah.
Right? But like, you're telling me that they signed a deal like last year, New Day, for speaking of that, right? And now they're being asked to take a restructuring deal. So what happened at the initial part of you getting the deal? Were you given like a fucking, a signing fucking bonus or a contract thing like that, where you would be getting like X amount of dollars and shit? And like, do you get it paid all at the start, or is it like a fucking annual type thing? And then like, if you're in breach of contract, and then that's also resulted you getting like a fucking like, I don't want to say severance, but I can't think of another word that's more appropriate, for them kind of like breaking it, because I think that's what it kind of came down to. They got signed for X amount of dollars that they were going to get every year. Now TKO is saying, well, we're actually going to break your fucking contract if you don't want to sign this new one. You can get the payout that's fucking, it was included in the terms of your initial contract, but you also have this 90-day non-compete, just like anybody who gets released from the company. I'm guaranteeing you that that's what they looked at, because they weren't being utilized. That's one of the other big things that people don't know too, is that if you weren't being used enough on TV, like why the fuck would you want to stay there? Just stay there until you get fucking canned. Yeah. That's the fucking meme with WWE. Anyway, again, I digress, because going off on fucking talking about something else that wasn't even relevant to the card. Hopefully that's not the case for Asuka. If that is, shitty. Last time we see her in WWE, probably for now. Asuka also does a lot of content creation on fucking YouTube and other socials as well. So I think she'll be just fine. And she's also somebody that can easily end up somewhere else, getting back in the pro wrestling circuit to make money if need be, right? Could you easily see her in Japan? Would be crazy to see her go to fucking AEW, but I highly doubt it. But yeah, we'll find out, man. We'll see what happens. I think it was pretty much, they could have also been emotional because it was a closing to like the storyline of them getting to work together.
Maybe.
And
somebody in my chat said that maybe this meant that Asuka and Io can now team up together and go after the tag titles.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I don't know if that'll actually happen, but
I don't know now. Ever since you put that idea of the 50% pay cut, ever since you put that into the world, like it's stuck in my head now. And now I think Asuka's leaving.
We'll find out, man. Time will tell. If you don't see her show up on any episodes of Monday Night Raw or anything like that, just wait for the dirt sheets to report on it, because they will.
Yeah.
Once it actually becomes a known thing. Anyway, great match to go on. If that was the swan song for Asuka, fucking great match between her and Io. I'm just hoping Io starts getting utilized as well too, considering she's separated from Rhea Ripley now. So we'll see what's next, right? I mean, I guess there is a match, some opportunity to get in a program with Liv, or there's also, of course, like the women's intercontinental title as well too. But it sounds like Sol Ruka and Becky are going to be the next thing for that.
Right.
Moving on, though, main event, OTC versus Jacob Fatu. Match went exactly how I thought it was going to go, too. Make Jacob look strong, but in the end, Roman retains, but then also have something after the match that leads on to more, so they can continue on this storyline, and it's not just a one-and-done thing.
Yeah.
I think it was a great showing out of Jacob, a very physical match as well, too. The problem about this and watching this for me, though, is that we literally just saw Roman have a great match with CM Punk 3 weeks ago.
Right.
So, like, I was expecting for this to be a burner, but I also kind of felt like there was, a lot more from that match than there was this, as there should be for a WrestleMania main event. I felt that this was pretty much just like the starting up of a thing between Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns, which is again just another rehashing of classic bloodline storyline. Kind of seen this before, but Jacob is a little bit more violent than Solo. What I do want to touch on too is the use of Royce Keys in the storyline, kind of being one of Jacob's homies from back in the day. Because both these guys, had trouble with the law and shit like that. It just makes sense that they would have fucking crossed paths at some point. The good thing about that is it'd be kind of cool if you start seeing Jacob building his own stable with his own powerhouses.
Right.
Saw what I did there. And having that kind of come forward is something, right? Like, I think that would be kind of cool. But I do also like this whole thing now with Roman kind of being treated more as like a babyface and a heel. So he's doing matches his way. He doesn't have any of the Usos or anybody coming out to interfere, right? So another opportunity for him to have a grueling match like he did with Jacob, who Jacob also being great at the guy who, if you hit him in the head, classic fucking trope when it comes to Samoans is that it'll just like wake them up, right? Which is he always has happened to him.
I asked that on stream. I was like, because the rule is you never headbutt a Samoan. But what if a Samoan headbutts a Samoan?
Well, or what happens if Roman uses his Superman punch and hits him in the head? You saw what happens. He just springs right back up, right?
Yeah.
There was also that one fucking kick out at one where fucking Jacob just no soul on fucking Roman as well too. Like it's the starting of a good match because it's them again trying to go back to like this mob boss mentality, right? And we've already kind of seen like the seasons of like Roman kind of being like the bad guy and like the head of the table and having his stable and everything like this. But now it's kind of feeling more like a mob boss is having to defend what's his from somebody who he's never really kind of encountered before. And tells people like, this is the part of the family that's dangerous and shit. That's why we don't fuck with them type deal. So I still think, again, great physical matchup between both Jacob and Roman. Was suitable of a main event. Great pacing to it as well. And then also, of course, a finish where it still sets up for more to come down the line, right? I don't really have any negatives about it. I thought it was also classy to see how Jacob Fatu came out with his own like Ulafala thing that was made by his daughter. They were saying, and he also kind of had the same color scheme going with his gear that was very reminiscent of when actually like his whole look, including like the thing around his neck too, if it's not called an Ulafala. When Jay had his match with Roman as well too, for like who was the tribal chief type shit. Because I'm pretty sure Jay had a very similar fucking look to his ring gear for that matchup.
Yeah.
You know, blue trunks and then also like a white fucking lace around the neck.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah, I don't really have anything more to say about that. I was also kind of distracted during that match because I saw your stream went down.
Yeah.
So
my stream died. It was one of those things where like, damn, I'm gonna have to like rewatch this match. But from what I saw, it was really good. So I'm excited to do my rewatch of it. I was pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I kept my expectations low, and I guess the running theme with me in this show was I'm gonna watch a lot of guys try to prove themselves. You know, that they can be single stars and get pushes and things like that. I was wondering how Jacob would go because he, you know, this was his first opportunity at a world title, you know, and you know, some people can crack under that pressure, especially when you're in there with like Roman Reigns, who could probably do this in his sleep. But I felt the way that the match was constructed, they really showed off all the positive strengths that come with Jacob Fatu, and they made him believable to the point where, in the near future, if he decides to go after the world title again, there's a good chance he might win it. You know, like, and why wouldn't you believe that he can win it? You know, so I was pleasantly surprised, happy, just glad that Jacob had a good match, very strong match from Jacob. The ending stuff was great, with the Tongan death grip and Jacob not releasing it. I think that is going to it's just going to propel him into another stratosphere where they can use him in main event situations.
Yep, I agree with that too. I think there's also going to be something that happens within the next few weeks that'll write Roman off TV, especially if he's not being advertised or was falsely advertised for dates in June, and then he's getting pulled off of that. So there's going to be something that happens, maybe an attack from Jacob that writes him off TV for a month or something like that. I don't know. Will he get the title by beating the OTC is something that remains to be seen. I think it's more likely that you have somebody like Jacob go and Money in the Bank in a couple months and then win the briefcase and then use that to cash in on Roman. I still think he needs a leverage point to be able to get that belt on him. I think in one-on-one series like the match tonight, I don't think it's the time just now.
Right.
I think it is great to position him as a main event player. A guy that can perform really well, give you a great match and storytell and make you believe that he is going to beat the motherfucker that he's in the ring with. But you will always see guys like this find a way to still win, just like Roman did by pulling off the thing from the turnbuckle after they'd gone at it back and forth for quite some time and then smashed Jacob into it. Jacob also, though, too, is smart enough to know what to use and what to do. So yeah, man. I think it'll be one of those things where it's a continued storyline, and then Jacob knows that the way that he's really going to be able to do this is he's got to get the briefcase from the Money in the Bank. He's got to beat the fuck out of Roman, and then use that contract to secure his first world title shot.
Somebody should give you the pencil and you be the booker.
Why? Because I could write predictable storylines on the fucking seam of my pants.
I mean, I've always maintained that it's not hard to write pro wrestling. Like, it's hard to write pro wrestling, but if you have the back, my thought process is WWE has the ability to make anyone a star. They can make anyone a star. They can make Matt Cardona a top guy in the WWE if they felt like it. You know, yeah. So to me, like, and I've been watching WWE since the 80s. So like my mindset is writing this shit is so fucking simple. Like that's why I get so frustrated when watching AEW because everything is kind of overdone a little bit. And I feel like a lot of it is just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. And it's like, guys, you're overcomplicating things. Just try to simplify it, because you got to understand, wrestling fans have a very short attention span. The moment something gets too complicated, they're tuning out. They're on their phones. They're doing whatever. They're trying to get their tweets off, whatever like that. You have to simplify it and make it in a way that it's digestible, but also in a way that keeps us on the edge of our seats. Like you said, wrestling is the best when they use real life situations. That's why Jerry Jarrett always had a sign on his door that said, real life problems equal real life money. You know, it's just, that's the way it is. It's just, you can't oversimplify things. So I think that's what WWE's their strong suit right now, and other companies can learn that. But I thought it was a strong show overall, for sure.
Sorry, I had to step away for a quick second, use the bathroom.
No problem. Thank you for letting me go on my tangent.
I mean, so we both do, brother.
Yeah, but I again, this was a very strong show. I enjoyed all of the matches. They gave me something to, you know, like, it kept me interested. It kept me interested the entire time. So I thought this was a solid show. I'd probably give this show like a solid B+.
Probably give it a B, if anything, a high B. Seahawks in the chat, Backlash sucked, and then you're gonna have that opinion from people as well there too. I mean, here's the thing to keep in mind, folks. We're literally looking at the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
It's always gonna be in the shadow of fucking WrestleMania, even though WrestleMania is in the fucking rear view. Backlash has always traditionally been one of those that's just like, well, let's see what they can do. Can they make it as good as Mania? Or it always ends up being full of matches that didn't make it on WrestleMania. And that's literally what this card was built for. Rollins versus Braun Breaker. Io versus Asuka. You had a literal rematch from the fucking card in Sammy versus Trick. The Danhausen one and the Roman versus Jacob. Those were kind of the ones that did not kind of have any stigmatism from WrestleMania with them, in my opinion. So like you literally had like two out of the five matches were actually kind of meant for like either a storyline that's been going on prior to WrestleMania that obviously could not have a conclusion there, or it actually still even had shit that was going on down there as well too, or something that's brand new. That just starts after WrestleMania, which again is what we got, and we are getting out of two of the world titles as well there too, right? So remember, Saturday night main event is on the 23rd this month.
No, it's not on the 23rd of this month because Clash in Italy is on the 31st.
Yeah, I think you're talking next month, Timmy, in June. But when is the 23rd? It's got to be Saturday night main event.
Yeah, that's Madison Square Garden is Saturday night main event. But I know May 31st they advertise it. That's the Clash in Italy show.
May 23rd in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I mean, that is 2 weeks from tonight, but they also have not done any talking about that either, which they kind of probably wouldn't do until Backlash is done.
Interesting. Looking at the calendar here. Going to June. Night of Champions is June 27th. Clash in Italy is May 31st. Yeah, no, I don't see any.
It looks like it actually. I'm seeing.
They don't have anything on there. They don't have any. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, it is. It's right in front of my face.
Yeah, and it's on the 23rd. Interesting. So 2 weeks from today, actually. You would think they would be talking about it, though.
Could this one not be on TV?
Thanks for. I found the same shit on Google, Timmy. Thank you. Say again, sorry.
Maybe could it be not on TV? Or no, because it says how to watch. It says how to watch. Yeah.
That's also Timmy's birthday as well too, so I'm pretty sure he's fully well aware of that.
Interesting. Because they don't have the graphic on the website doesn't have like Netflix or Peacock or YouTube. It's not on the graphic. Interesting. So then they would be doing 3 PLEs. Well, I mean, do you really count Saturday night's main event as a PLE?
No, I count it as a fucking cable network show.
Yeah,
As it should be.
Yeah.
It's just a special that usually has stuff tied to it, and they'll use that show if they need to for like special shit. Like when Punk and Jay had to fucking fight for the world title because Rollins got injured. Yeah, maybe they were just waiting till they got past Backlash because they've been doing shades of stuff for Clash in Italy. We already know it's Cody versus Gunther for the belt there.
Right.
Because of their deal. Yeah, no, I know it's exclusive to me. It's on Peacock in the States, and then I watch it off of YouTube, honestly, because they do it outside of the United States. I think it's on those areas to see it. But speaking of Saturday Night Main Event, probably a good segue into something that we didn't talk about. John Cena's announcement as well too.
Yeah.
I would totally kind of gloss that over a bit. Because I don't think we got any more to talk about when it comes to Roman and Jacob. It's the starting of a feud. We already know it's going to be it's going to have to cook from here. I am at least thankful that Cena did not come out and be like, so here's how to sign up for WWE Club. Everybody was like, that's the meme. He's just going to come out here and sell us more on this new fucking subscription hokey dokey shit. No, it actually turned out John Cena announcing the John Cena Classics, or Classic, or whatever the fuck. I had to watch it back when I was waiting for you and I to jump in a call here because I was just like, okay, I kind of maybe I was zoning out when he was talking, but it literally just sounded like it's going to be like how they did like the Mae Young Classic. It's going to be a show that has a title that's bound to it, and it's going to allow people to sign up from all over the landscape of WWE. So NXT, Raw, SmackDown. I wonder if that's also going to extend to like LFG, Evolve, any of the other developmental areas as well too. The one thing that I heard Cena say that I had to cock an eyebrow at, not like in the Dwayne Johnson way, but kind of similar, is the fact that it's all fan vote decided.
Yeah.
So you could lose a match in the Classic, but you could still be picked to be the winner.
Yeah.
Which to me sounds like popularity contest much. How are you going to prevent this shit from just being like an overload of one person? But I mean, again, at the same time, I don't know how someone's going to be able to do that unless you're getting people in here that also have great outreach on social media, and those will be the ones that will actually get people to participate in this fan decided vote. When he started talking that shit, you know what it also really just reminded me of?
What's that?
Cyber Sunday. Remember that?
Yeah. Cyber Sunday.
When you had to basically that shit happened when I was out of watching wrestling. But I remember reading and hearing about it, and the whole thing where you would text to have this person fight the WWE champion here tonight, and they would have clearly the person that they want to steer the fans to voting for,
right?
But the fans at the end of the day could make the decision. I think that resulted in Shawn Michaels being one of the guys that won one of those things way back when. But anyway, when he said that, I'm just this shit just reminds me of fucking Cyber Sunday and shit. You just okay, fucking people are going to be able to call in and vote and everything like that. So yeah, we'll see what it looks like when it's done or when it comes about. But Cena saying it's a brand new championship, it's not like a new championship belt. It's going to be like a cup.
Right.
The fucking NXT Heritage Cup or something
right,
like that.
Right.
Or the fucking,
similar to the Owen Hart Cup.
Yeah, something like that, or the Owen Hart, or even the Andre the Giant Battle Royal Memorial champion as well too. I think it'll have a little bit more prestige about that because honestly, it'll be if some guy was came out as the John Cena Classic champion, then that is something say about maybe that will also be a way to potentially get your foot in the door on main page, right on the main cards, but. It's great that it was something that was personal to John. obviously demands his involvement.
Right.
And was not him just coming out to like sell us on WWE Club. Because if it would have been that, I probably would have just like finally shut off wrestling and started playing more video games. My dude, it has been a week for me questioning doing React content with the type
Yeah.
of stuff that I am needing to react to. Because like last night was like one of the first big daggers in my chest of like having to sit there and fucking feel like, do I need to smoke weed to go and get through this gingerbread man fucking shit, man? Because like
I love
this whole,
the funeral. I thought the funeral was hilarious.
I mean, the big payoff with fucking Yachty doing the fucking sit up Undertaker style, wearing it was just like, okay, obviously that was what they were going to fucking work towards always. But
Yachty got a pop too.
yeah, of course he did, right? He also got a strike in on Sammy. But like, yeah, man, it's just one of those things that like you see those kind of segments, and I'm just like, And I mean, the segment's fire, but the whole fucking overuse of AI art, it just like, uh,
Yeah.
right? But as much of WWE is kind of really in a fucking downward spiral of shit. Again, that was kind of refreshing that John Cena at least is coming out to announce something cool that's going to be helping new young developing talent, or even talent that have been out of the limelight for a while and really want to get themselves back to center stage. And the best way to do that is maybe go in the John Cena Classic and see what happens, you know. But yeah, overall, again, I would agree with what you said. Backlash was a pretty well paced card, very refreshing. After all of the obvious feedback they probably heard from WrestleMania, and just trying to keep it focused on like the matches and light on the advertisement, which I feel like they did. So, but yeah, we'll have to see what happens in the weeks ahead and stuff like that. I really hope you and I are not right about our thoughts on Asuka and restructuring deal and that being her last match. I really hope as well too that we continue to see more out of this feud with Jacob and Roman. And I do think again as well too, like, give Jacob a couple more matches and then give him some type of comeuppance that he can use to actually get that belt. I honestly feel like Money in the Bank's the best way. Wins on the same night, cashes in on the same night after Roman has a grueling match.
I like it. I like that idea. That's a pretty solid idea.
Word, brother.
All right.
But anyway.
So, being that this is going to be up on YouTube, I think you should let the people know where they can find your streams and what your streams are all about and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So y'all can catch me pretty much 5 days a week on twitch.tv/Keeley's Network. You can also just search up JDK Nonstop and you'll be able to find my channel there. I stream a variety of content. I do wrestling reacts on Mondays and Fridays with Raw and SmackDown. I do community nights too on Tuesday and Friday with games. I play single player games. I play community games. I do a lot of different content on my channel. You guys can also find me on other socials as well at JDK Nonstop. But predominantly, you'll always find me 5 days a week on twitch.tv. So come on through. We got a lot of different stuff going on the channel throughout the time. And thank you again as well too, Eric, for the chop up as well too. Talking about professional wrestling and all the things in between that involved this thing that we involve ourselves with. Great, always getting to do these little recaps and then always kind of go off on talking about other crazy shit that is brewing on our mind throughout it, man. So thank you again for always stepping on in.
No problem. Love to do it.
Discord here for a conversation.
Love to do it. Love to do it.
But yeah, to all y'all listening on YouTube, we will see you guys again, I guess, for after Clash in Italy.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Saturday Night Main Event. We'll see. Make sure you guys also go check out that Ringside Rundown guy on twitch.tv as well too. You can catch him on Monday, Wednesdays, I want to say Fridays, Saturdays, pretty much
Monday,
anytime
Wednesday,
AEW.
Friday, Saturday. You got it.
Yeah, pretty much anytime AEW or WWE's got some shows going on. So, go drop a follow on the Ringside Rundown chat if you haven't already. Check out Eric. Bully him to eventually play Fortnite with me again. 'Cause it's funny. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning on in. Anybody who listens, watching, and is just like us, has a whole whirlwind of emotions when it comes to being a fan of WWE and pro wrestling.
We love it, but thank you for watching, guys. Take care.